Hello, I've been playing about with some of my disco lighting just recently, and a lot of the disco lighting nowadays is sort of LED, but it's controlled by DMX. Now, this isn't new. DMX has been around for quite a while. It stands for Digital Multiplex Interface, so it should be DMI really, shouldn't it? Anyway, other than that, what you basically do is you come from a controller like so. This is sort of a standard DJ type controller, and that will have a DMX output. So you'll come out of that and go into your first light, out of that into the next, out of that into the next, and so on and so forth. But you can add lots of different types of lights. I mean, here's one of my favourites. This one has turning mirrors, and it has gobos and colour wheels and all sorts of things inside there. But I was thinking, I've got a lot of this LED tape, red, green, blue LED tape. Now this comes with a controller already, but basically all you can do is choose a colour or choose a flash or a strobe, speed it up a bit, slow it down a bit, and that's the end basically. You can't really do a lot more with it. If you was trying to make it work within a specific tempo or some music or things, it could be quite difficult going up and down and pressing the buttons here to try and get it close enough. So what I've found, I've been on the Banggood website, and there's this little device that's turned up, and this is a 24 channel DMX controller specifically for LED lighting. Now when I say 24 channel, as this is red, green and blue, that is actually 3 channels. So 24 divided by those 3 is 8. So I can run 8 of these quite happily off one of these devices. If I wanted any more, I can do the same as with all DMX lighting. I can come back out and go into another box, back out of that into another box, so on and so forth. And it's completely addressable. There's all these little dip switches on the back here, so you can set its own address for your controllers. And if you want to get really sort of elaborate, then you can have these USB to DMX controllers and do all sorts of stage lighting and all sorts of wonderful things with it. Anyway, what I'm going to do is I've got to put a 3-pin connector onto this strange plug. I think it's a Molex plug, I'm not too sure, and that's the DMX import. So once I've done that, I'm going to cut up a few of these into lengths, 8 of them in total, and well, I don't know, just have a play around and see what I can do with this and this. If this is the sort of thing you are looking for, then if you follow the link at the bottom of the screen here, there's a link to the Banggood website where these are being sold, and you should get a little bit of a discount on it as well. So I'll shut up now, and I'm going to make this little lead. I'll show you these are really simple to do. So I've got to put a 3-pin XLR onto this little Molex connector. I'm not actually sure the proper brand name of that, but anyway, I want the one with the pins on it because this is where the signal is going to be going in to this device. Now, let me just explain to you what sort of goes off here. So this is the XLR. If I unscrew this and look at it from the inside, like so, this is the XLR, and this is pin 1, pin 3 and pin 2. And if you're not too sure, it's normally actually marked on the black plastic. You can just about see that there's 1, 3 and 2 actually sort of in the plastic there, molded into the plastic. So pin 1 here, that's the ground, okay, and pin 3 is the data plus or hot, and that's obviously the data minus or the cold. Now if you have a 5-pin DMX, because some of the DMXs have 5-pin and some have 3 pins, it's still easy because the pins are numbered and the numbers are exactly the same. So if I've got the 5-pin one, I'll just sort of draw it down here. Excuse my bad drawing. So this is looking down onto the back of the plug again, and it should be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, like so. So therefore that will be the ground, and pin 2 will be the data minus, and pin 3 will be the data positive. So I've got to solder a cable off this onto this, and this is already marked out: DMX in, D plus, D minus and ground. So that should be fairly simple. Now this is the socket end, or the DMX that comes back out, and I don't need that for now, but I do need it to hold that plug. And that makes it nice and easy to hold it, so I can solder it. Here's a nice piece of cable. Okay, it's got a stereo socket on the end, but I've got plenty of these, so all I'm going to do is just sort of chop one of these up like so, because I know I've got the right amount of cables in there for this little project here. So my data minus is going to be pin number 2 here, so I'm going to do that in blue, and this one in clear. Yeah, that's okay. So I had the blue as the data minus, so that's going to be the middle pin, and the data plus on the outside, so there you go, and the ground this side. So I'll just put this on, we'll see what happens. There you go, that's how easy it is to just make up a 3-pin XLR DMX to go directly into this. So if I plug that in, now it has a standard pin socket XLR if you wish. So I should be able to plug it directly into my DMX controller. This is the LED red, green, blue strip, and you can get these in many different forms. Unfortunately, this has got separate red, green and blue LEDs. Some of them have the red, green and the blue all in one LED, which I think would have looked a little bit nicer, but it doesn't matter. I've got these, it's only for testing purposes anyway. So we don't need this piece. I can pull that off and discard that, because basically we're going to replace it with this. Sadly, I've only got 3 of these, so I'm going to have to count up the amount of segments on here and cut them up so that I've got 8 equal amounts. Now when you cut these up, there's little markers here that says plus, red, green, blue, or sometimes there may be a sort of pair of scissors sort of image on there to say you can cut it there, or you can cut it there or there. But you can't cut in between the LEDs, it doesn't quite work like that. Luckily, I found this wire, which is exactly the same stuff as they're using. But the colours don't match up to what's written on the end here. This says plus and then blue, green, red. The plus they're using is the black, and it says green, red, blue. So I'm going to have to swap a couple of those around, because these are red, green, blue, and these are blue, green, red. They're a little bit awkward to do without soldering across from one to the other. Now, just double check with the magnifying glass. Yeah, it looks like it'll work. There's nothing between those two. Yeah. So I put a bit of heat shrink tubing over there now. And now when I come to this end, if I'm lucky, if I actually just move the black over, then that should correct the colour outputs going back into that end. So there's only one wire to sort of cross over. Capture one of them. Then I can get all the others screwed down. Even though the colour on the cable doesn't correspond to what's happening with the LEDs, by the time it's crossed over here, then that should correct what is happening there. So I've just got to make a few more of these and then I can plug the thing in and try it. So according to the user manual, it has a test mode that you can set up on it with the dip switches. So before you even plug in any sort of Dmx controller, you can check if everything's working okay. There you go. Looks to me like it's working okay. So now what I've got to do is attach a Dmx controller and see what you can do with this thing. I've plugged in my Dmx cable that I made up earlier, and that's going into the little box with the red flashing light on over there. Probably can't see it on camera, I don't know. But anyway, I've set up the LED strips here to demonstrate what this little box can do. Now, this is a standard Dmx controller. I think this is 512 channels, but you can get them with more channels, and yeah, they come in all sorts of different shapes and sizes. So, as I've set the dip switches on there to start at channel 1, then the first channel coming out will be channel 1, which is red. And that's going to use 24 channels to control these 8 sets of red, green, blue LED strip. Now, I can come back out of that and go into separate disco lights afterwards, as long as I set them on channel 25 and onwards. So with this device here now, if I send a signal out of channel 1, then red of the first LED strip should light up, and then channel 2 will be green and channel 3 will be blue, and then channel 4 is going to be red of the next strip, and so on and so forth all the way around until you've filled up all 24 channels. Now, this also has scene memories, so for the past half an hour I've been programming scenes in here. So if I press number 1, I've programmed this so that channel 1, channel 4, channel 7, channel 10, it's always in threes, is going to be the red, the red, the red of each one all the way around. Scene 2, change them to green. Scene 3, change them to 4, and then you can do all sorts of variations and things if you've got one of these devices. Now, what I'd like to do with that actually is, in these sort of disco lights, these have got red, green and blue LEDs in them. They're very good, but if I can take the red, green and blue off one of these and put it into a small unit like this, I should be able to operate 8 of these off that one little box in the middle. Now, what I'm going to do is just finish this video by pressing the auto on here, because now this is going to go through all the scenes that I've set up earlier, and it should just change all its patterns, and I can change the speed of it, and I can change the blending of well, it's not the blending, it's sort of the fade time between one scene and the next scene. But as you can see there, it's quite a nice effect, and yeah, the box does exactly what it says on the tin, as they say. That came from banggood.com, and if you've got any questions or anything you want to know about that box or about DMX, just write it in the comments section below the screen here, and I'll try my best to answer anything for you. Until then, if you like this video, please give us a thumbs up, and if possible, please subscribe, because I've got lots more videos coming along soon. All the best. Thanks very much for watching. Bye bye.